Welcome to That's Joy, the podcast. I'm your host, Cece Calbanero, and I'll be sharing stories of miracles, God moments, and unpacking the truth behind what joy truly means. My friend, when God gives you a direct call on your life, be sure to answer it. Here's to answering my call together. All right, you guys, welcome back to That's Joy, the podcast. I am thrilled because I am not here by myself. As you can see, Kenzie is in the house and she is back. That's right. Back. You are back. Second time. Let's go.
We were saying before we started this, lots has changed.
Literally.
Since the last time, and not just where Cece's at.
Right.
Not just the setup.
Right.
More than the setup.
God bless the setup. Y'all, just so you know, I just want people to know this. Like, you think this is like perfect and all, but I was trying to make things work right before this, and you gotta be a queen of pivoting, and here we are. We're making it work. Kenzie, welcome back to That's Joy.
Thank you.
If y'all haven't plugged into the very first episode with Kenzie, honestly, I would encourage you to pause and like go listen to that, because you will just learn so much about who she is. But we're going to dive into that more. Episode 42, for those of you who are interested in listening back to Kenzie's very first episode on That's Joy. But Kenz, will you kick us off with a little joyful noise?
Yes. Just in any
anything. Yeah.
Well, this is a little bit, well, I know we're going to get to this at the end of the podcast, but I actually just came from our second location for True Form. So if you haven't listened to the last episode, you should, because at the end of that, I kind of said like a bold, I had no clue if it was going to happen, but I was like, we're going to open up a second studio in Nashville. And I actually just came from that second studio. We're putting drywall up today. So my joyful noise is that not only do we have a second studio, but we're actually a couple weeks away from opening it. So
let's go.
Yeah.
And that is like with so much faith.
Yeah.
You said that on the last episode. That was in May of last year, not knowing where it was going to be, what it was going to look like.
Crazy.
And like you said, we'll dive into that more. But Kenz, for those of the peeps who are just now listening to you for the first time, will you just give us a quick run through about who is Kenz?
Yeah. So my name's Kenzie. Last time I was on the podcast, I was Kenzie Stewart. I have since gotten married.
Yeah,
and
you
I am
did.
now Kenzie West, which is also, we were talking, it's just crazy because the last time I was filming, we're not sure if we were dating our husbands, but I don't think we were, or it had just been very new.
Yes.
I think it may have been brand new. So, yeah, it's really sweet. So, I just got married, and I am the owner of True Form Fitness, which is a small boutique Legree studio. We say Legree is basically like an upgraded Pilates. So I own True Form Fitness in Franklin, and we are opening up our second studio in Nashville. End of April, early May is our target goal. But yeah, a little bit about me. I love all things health, wellness, fitness. I love community. And so I've kind of tied all of that together in my job. And then aside from work, I've, just found the joy in the little things of living in Nashville. I love this city and love the people that are in it.
Come on. And y'all, we do share a mutual BFF, which is Taylor Jordan. And I love it so much because you two have things brewing in the works.
I know. I'm like, Cece's kind of the only one who knows, which is the best part.
Gosh, I won't leak it.
No, do it in the best part, because I'm like, she's that mutual person for both of us. I feel like that safe person that is doing a lot of the things that we're really excited to do in the future. So Tay is really our connection, even how we met, right?
I was just going to say that. Literally, like, I don't remember the first time or where, but I do know it was through Taylor.
Oh yeah. And she's just the best. And Taylor does a lot with True Form, which is so fun. And yeah, it's, you know that you have a good friend when Taylor Jordan's the mutual friend.
That
like, you're like,
so
okay,
real.
This is a safe person for me.
That is so real. We love her. She also is a guest on That's Joy. So go listen to her episodes too. But Ken's, holy moly.
Wow.
I cannot believe, like, okay, it is, by the time that this comes out, it's going to be late April already, which is crazy to think about. And spring is fully here.
Yeah.
Summer is literally around the corner.
Wow.
And before spring got here, honestly, you guys, I had so strongly on my heart, like, okay, I don't think that we've yet to talk about this, but we need to talk about this. And that is body image. And as I was praying into like what that would look like, who would even speak to it, I just was like, man, I don't fully know. But as time kept going on, Ken's reached out about the new studio, and I knew that that was brewing. And I was like, you know what? I want Ken to speak on body image.
Yeah.
And so I'm so grateful that you're here today, just willing to speak about it, because obviously it's not like a light conversation.
Right.
But I do know and I do believe that there's somebody listening to this right now that's going to experience breakthrough in some way and chains falling off simply because they hear another woman who is further along that says, hey, I was there too, or I am somewhat still there too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So good.
So I would love to just hear from you as a trainer and a studio owner. What's been the biggest thing that you've seen women throughout the studio, in and out potentially? What's something that you've seen them struggle with when it comes to their body image?
Yeah. Well, thank you for trusting me with a topic like this. I think I know what it's like to be a girl, and especially in fitness, I know what that's like, to just kind of want to even listen to probably a title of a podcast that's going to be like this one. And so just thanks for trusting me with the topic. But yeah, I mean, working with women, we all know that a lot of our struggles can coexist with one another. And anytime you are surrounded by mirrors in a fitness studio, there are naturally going to be things that get brought up or emotions that come up. And so while I wouldn't say daily I have conversations with women surrounding body image or surrounding, you know, insecurity that may come with group fitness or personal goals or whatever that may be, it's definitely been something that's come up. And I think the biggest of all things is we live in a world in which everyone's posting, everybody sees what everybody's doing at all times. You're in a group fitness class, people are going to have their phones out, and naturally that just creates a lot of room for comparison. And so the one thing, both personally and then also in owning Trueform and being around a lot of women, that I've seen is this just natural response to that of, oh, well, I don't look like her, and I'm not fit enough, and I don't, you know, oh, when I take my phone out and take a picture, I don't look as fit or as strong or as skinny or whatever the word that may come up may be when, you know, documenting something like that, or even when working out next to someone. I mean, we all know what it's like to be in a group class, and there might be somebody that you may look quote unquote further along in your fitness journey, and so that could build confidence, or maybe it does the latter when you see somebody that you're like, dang, I really want to get there physically. So yeah, all in all, I think I've seen a lot with women, and I've seen a lot of people struggle. And then I've also, I think the beauty of what we're creating at Trueform is I've seen a lot of breakthrough in those areas of, wait, it's not about what we look like. Like health and wellness is thankfully kind of taking a turn, I feel like, in the past couple years of like, no, it's kind of about what's going on inside. Yeah. So it's been a really cool way to also navigate, you know, and see women come to terms with, okay, it's not all about the outside, but naturally, yes, I'm dealing with, and all of us in this space are dealing with the reality that women do struggle with what they look like and what they see.
Right. I love that you brought up the cell phone thing, because I mean, Tay and I have gone to Trueform, and we love like recording ourselves, and like having the memory, I feel like, is more than anything for us. Like, oh my gosh, we love working out together. But I've been in those shoes where I've been like, oh, Taylor is so much better. Duh, because she goes every single day. You know what I mean? Like, I've gone 3 times total. And Legree is no easy feat either. Like, it is a challenge, y'all. Yeah. If you have never taken a Legree class before, holy smokes, it will humble you so quick. But at the end, you will feel so strong and feel muscles you've never felt before. So that's a random.
We'll clip that.
Exactly.
We'll clip that for a little promo for Trueform.
A little promo. But seriously, the whole mirror thing is so real. Yeah. I've been thinking about that a lot because Christian Huff, Sadie Robertson's husband, he's in the health and wellness space to. And recently he put up a post and I was like, I never really thought about that, because it's so much of my day to day. Like, I go to a fitness studio and there's mirrors all around, you know, you're constantly looking at yourself. And if your thoughts aren't necessarily the healthiest, or you're not in that state, you could be picking yourself apart the entire class. Like, oh, if my hips were just a little bit tighter, or whatever it may be, you know. And he posted something about, he's in a season where he used to always have mirrors in his studio and listen to rap music that motivated him to work out. Now, all he listens to is worship music, slower worship music, and there are no mirrors in his gym. And I was like, what a thought, you know? Like, what if we can carry that perspective and that lens into any studio that we went into, you know? Just being so sure of like who you are. I would love to just go there for a second, me included, and just hear from you. Like, is this something that you have struggled with yourself?
Yeah, well, I was thinking about this today. I didn't know we would be talking about this until Cece messaged me this morning. Was like, would you be comfortable going there with me? And, you know, immediately my thought just popped into kind of what my quote unquote job or career means to the world. And personally, I mean, I grew up a dancer, and just, you know, I wouldn't even say this is vulnerable, but to be honest, like, I never struggled growing up with, you know, the way I looked or anything like that. I mean, I had the metabolism of like, I'm so thankful for my 12-year-old metabolism.
For real.
And so growing up, like, you know, I was definitely around women or girls really that struggled in the dance industry with that. I never really understood it. And then I went and danced in college, and I would say when I came back and was done dancing and kind of got thrust into the real world and really had to like understand, oh my gosh, okay, like what I eat does matter, how I exercise does matter, or I'm going to look and not feel as well as I did whenever I was super active and all of those things. And so I would say thoughts started to creep in comparison wise. Like, for me, it was never like disordered in the sense of, oh, well, I need to restrict or not restrict to look a certain way. For me, it was just always like, oh, well, that person looks so good. How can I look like that? And so if that makes any sense, it's always been like that. And I think every girl, especially growing up in the world that we grow up in college specifically, I would just kind of look at other people and be like, okay, well, how can I get there? And so my goal was based on others. And so, you know, that was all just kind of the back of your head, like never really thought much of it. It was just like, oh yeah, like I'll go to Pilates because my favorite Pilates girl looks great and I want to look like her. And so that was me in college. For those of you who don't know, I taught at the studio I have since taken over and rebranded. And so I never really knew what becoming a fitness instructor would lead me to believe about myself, but I would say it wasn't until the sale of the business, like until I took over the business, that I started feeling this immense weight and pressure to look a certain way because my career was now fitness. And I don't think I was even aware of these thoughts until honestly I got married and was able to like be super honest with myself about certain things. But just to take y'all there, like I took over True Form, and yeah, I would say insecurity, not in the sense of, oh my gosh, I'm not confident in myself, but it was more so, okay, if Susie looks at me, would she think I'm a fitness instructor? Or if, I don't know, a random person came and took my class, would they want to keep taking my class? Because would they want to look at me and want to look like me? Because, you know, a lot of the times we look at fitness instructors and we look at nutritionists and whatever, and we often are gravitated towards the people we want to look like. And that's kind of taking it back to how I was in college. It was like, oh, well, I'll do what this person is doing because they look this way. And so for me, it then kind of flipped it. And here I am as a fitness instructor dealing with, well, do people want to look like me because I'm a Pilates or a Legree instructor? Do people want to look at me because I own a fitness studio? And so I started taking on this weight and this pressure of, okay, well, I have to eat this and do this and live like this, because if I don't, then I fear that other people are going to not want to do what I do, not trust me as a fitness instructor, not trust me as a studio owner because I may not look the part. So it's been this really odd, funky kind of realization of like, dang, that is a body image, that is struggling with your body image in the sense of I'm fearing that other people don't see me in a correct light. And so it's been this really cool process over the past, I'd say 2 years of really stepping back and being like, okay, I don't want someone in my life or maybe someone even at the studio that is only coming because of why I look that way, or so what I may look like. I want somebody to come to True Form and work out because they genuinely love moving their body and they love the studio and they love the community. It's not about me. So it's been taking off this selfishness almost and this like self pressure of, well, I have to keep doing if people can trust me or if people want to be like me. And it's not about me. Right. So it's really been kind of taking that layer off of things and trying to see things like that. And and having a husband that obviously feeds life into me and can say like, Kenzie, these thoughts are truly fearful. It's not a reality. It's this fear that you have that other people aren't gonna, again, it's that trust piece, trust you. So in short, I would say that this is definitely a part of my journey. I was saying on the phone to you earlier that like, I think to encapsulate what I'm trying to say, when you're a business person, you wear business clothing, right? You go and you get your best suit and you wear your suit. When you are a cycler, you have the best shoes, you have the outfit. We all see them around here. Like you're a cycler and you know that. And then, say you're a cowboy, like you have your cowboy hat and your cowboy boots and you have the best thing of that. I think as a fitness instructor and someone in fitness, I have felt like I need the abs and the arms and the legs and the shoes and the clothing. And if I don't have those things, well, that deems me as not a good fitness instructor or studio owner. So really it's been, long story short, learning how to kind of take those masks off and just be really confident in who I am.
Yeah. Holy moly. Thank you so much for sharing that. I feel like a lot of people in your shoes who do walk with such authority, especially in this space, like in the city of Nashville, like people know you, and the fact that you're willing to just be vulnerable. I think another girl who's listening to this, or maybe a guy, like just feels like that they can be a little bit more honest in their small group and in their circles, I'm so grateful for all of your words because I think that as you're speaking, again, I see like pieces of myself in that too, where I'm like, man, you think when you see people on social media and wherever, like, by the way, I look at you and I'm like, holy smokes, you are rocking from head to toe. Like there is nothing that you need, and I love that Tanner speaks life because it reminds me of the verse, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And we have that ability to reframe those thoughts and to speak life into ourselves. And it is very helpful when those that are surrounding you speak life because then it just becomes truth, What's so interesting, and I do this myself and I'm like, why do we do this as humans? But everything that you just shared, has anyone ever said those things to you?
Well, and that's what I was going to actually say, because in those moments of insecurity of, okay, say it's there, True Form's posting a video and I'm in it and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't really love myself in that video. It's those moments of like, well, this is me talking about me, like Cece's not going to look at a video of me and say something about me. Like she's probably not thinking that, but I'm looking at me. Same thing with you.
Right.
And so, like people aren't specifically sharing these words. Where I was going to go with that too is anytime I leave a situation or I might be in a moment of insecurity, 99.99% of the time, it's because I've seen somebody else that I deem as better, more fit, more beautiful, skinnier, whatever the word that you might associate with above you. It's because I've seen somebody on social media post. And the reality and the gravity of it is those people are looking at other people. and they're saying the same thing about people that they see. And that's what has been really cool about this whole process, is realizing in the same way that I look at people and say things of, oh, I wish I looked like that. Or if I just did this, maybe I would get to that point. I know that there's people looking at me and saying that, whether it be, you know, a young girl, whether it be somebody my age, whether it be somebody at the studio, whether it be somebody that doesn't even know me. And then they're thinking that about me. Well, somebody else is saying that about them. And so it's this long cycle of just comparison. And I think body image in general has just, I mean, we know the mental health rates, we know or the mental health aspect of things, and just the way things and rates of thoughts are increasing, and that's because we have a world of social media. And so for me, it's been realizing, okay, these insecurities that I'm having are not because somebody has looked at me and told me this. It's because I'm looking at other people telling myself this, if that makes sense.
No, that makes so much sense, and that is so good. It leads me, I mean, you're speaking about stats, and I actually wrote one down that I just wanted to share, but one study reports that at age 13, 53%, which, mind you, there's a large growing audience of 13 to 15-year-olds who are listening to That's Joy. So this might be you, sis. And I don't want it to be, but it says that at the age of 13, 53% of American girls are, quote unquote, unhappy with their bodies. This grows to 78% by the time girls reach 17.
Wow.
And I'm like, man, that's like freshman to senior year of high school. You know, you start out and you may or may not love your body, and then by senior year you're picking it apart. And I resonate because I've been there. I had a great metabolism growing up. I never really thought about like my legs or whatever, because that's been my thing. Like, oh, if I could just get like my thighs a little bit smaller, you know, these are real thoughts, friends. Like, I'm just inviting
that actually
you in.
takes me, this is kind of to lighten the mood a little. This is so funny. I was telling, I forget who, I think it was Tanner, most likely. I tell him everything. We were on a walk, and I was like, it is so funny. When I was 12 years old, I looked in the mirror, and I was like, I mean, when I was 12 years old, I had a guy look at me and say, you need to eat more biscuits, because I was so skinny, like so tiny. And I remember looking in the mirror. I was like, God, give me thighs, please. Like praying, God, please give me thighs. Like, please, like just make, like, because when I was 12, it was like you wanted to be thick, or like, you know, that was like the words that all the guys use and whatever. I was like, please give me thick thighs. And it is hilarious, because now I'm like, I will never say anything about my thighs ever again. Like, not saying anything other than that. I'm like, Lord, I prayed that I would tone up these thighs. And so Taylor Jordan, if you're listening to this, that's why I love to do some works on the thighs, because God gave me them to start toning up. So it's so funny though, like taking it back to whenever you are 12, and even the statistic, like the way trends are too, if we're talking body image, like I feel like in 5 years, who knows what it's going to be cool to have. Like everything changes and shifts so much, and what you want to look like and how you don't want to look, and all of the things that you want to do and what you don't want to do. It's changing with I feel like every year there's a new trend in what your body should look like. And so just to lighten the mood a little bit, it's kind of funny what my 12-year-old self wants.
That's real. I feel like we all have a version of that where we're just like, oh, well, and
yep. I'm like, okay, God, you answered.
Literally.
It's amazing.
But speaking to just where we're at with just like, why this topic? I mean, friends, you might be listening. You're like, hold up. I like come here for joy. Why are we talking about this? Well, I think the through line and like the common thread behind body image and why it's so problematic is because the root is comparison. And there's that famous quote, right? That says comparison is the thief of joy. And so if we are constantly comparing ourselves, we aren't living in the joy that the Lord has given us. And I think that's the problem. And so what do we do about that? How do we find a solution to that? And I think it's women who have learned a couple things, have been along the life of just life, right? And you, Kenz, who is in a space that honestly you just have such a gift right now that I feel like the Lord has given you, not one, but like we shared, you're about to pop your second baby out, not an actual
not
baby.
Figuratively, or not literally, but figuratively.
Yeah, exactly. Not yet, Lord.
Nope. But I am not pregnant.
Exactly. But true form, second location is coming.
Well,
you know?
and to tap on when you said comparison is the thief of joy, and this kind of segues into it's last night I was so anxious, and I could not, and I don't say like not anxious in like, oh, I'm anxiety and depression, that sort of anxious, but just that feeling of like that pressure in your chest, because there is this weight of like, oh my gosh, like I am carrying something that's going to hold a lot of weight. Like when you are opening up a studio, or you're opening up whatever you may feel the Lord telling you to do business wise, like I feel this incredible responsibility to deliver something that people are going to enjoy. Yeah. And last night I was so anxious, and my husband was asking me questions. He was like, well, like, why do you think you're anxious? And I was like, honestly, and this goes right back into comparison to the thief of joy. I'm like, I am looking and comparing how I'm launching the business to other things that I'm seeing on social media. And it was this moment of, okay, I cannot sit here in the same way that we do with our bodies. We can't do it about anything else. Right. And it's so easy in all facets of life to like look at somebody that you may think is more ahead of you, or is doing better than you, or they have a better idea, or they're delivering content that looks cooler than yours. And last night was that moment for me of, okay, if I feel the Lord has entrusted me with this second location, he's going to give me every tool I need to do it the way he has for me to do it, not the way everybody else is doing it. So I love that you said comparison is the thief of joy. And that's so true in body image and in the way we see ourselves, but it's also so true in every other area of life.
Come on.
So yes, right now I am launching the second studio. I think this is launching in April, which our goal right now, it's mid-March, by the way. Our goal is to open April 22nd. So hopefully when this launches we're opening.
Yes.
And yeah, so with that, it's really cool how everything's come together, but we're getting really excited.
We are so excited to have it here. I'm like, oh my gosh, living in downtown Nash, having it just be literally a hop and a skip of a couple streets over. I know. I'm like,
I know. It did not take me, when I mapped it, like I had my maps as walking first, because I'm always like, can I walk somewhere before I drive somewhere? It was only going to be like 35-minute walk.
That is not bad.
I know. So I'm like, oh, that was like a 7-8 minute drive.
Yeah.
Not
Tate
bad.
does that a couple times with D1.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm curious to know, with everything that you just shared, I think that you're in a unique seat. Being a business owner, there's not as many business owners as there are people attending classes who are in this space, you know? And I do believe everything that you said, just to confirm, like, man, you are doing a good job with everything. The branding is on point. Everything that you're putting out is beautiful and intentional. And more than anything, y'all, go to her socials. You feel and see your heart. You can't create a strategy for that. You know, it's just like who you are is either showing up fully or not. And I feel like a lot of that depends on just how filled you are with Jesus, how much you prioritize your own health and wellness. And then the overflow happens. I was reading this morning and in Psalms, and it was talking about just how we are anointed and our cup overflows. And like, I do believe that that's already how you're existing in this world. And I hate that you even go through the comparison, and I'm like, oh no, if you could just, you know, and it's so, because you could do the same, you know, like we
could do it for everyone. I look at my friends that are saying stuff, I'm like, are you crazy? And they're like, you do the same thing. And I'm like, dang, I do. Actually, we're all like that. Yeah.
I know. And since we are, I think that there are still tactical things that we could just be a touch more intentional with, so that we can get further and further from the statistic and continue to like push that statistic number down, where younger girls are believing that they are worthy and loved and beautifully and wonderfully made who they are right now. And it's not to say that we're not going to continue to encourage health, because we are, right? For a multitude of reasons, but allowing a body image to be on the lower end of the ladder for why you're prioritizing that, I think is key. And so I'd love if you would share with us, like, obviously every brand has values. What's a value that you think is something that's going to really like strike that number down when it comes to True Form?
So True Form, the name, I don't know if we went into this the last time, but it came from people sitting me down asking me, what is the business and what do you want people to feel in the business? And so obviously we're a workout. We are a Pilates inspired workout. So, you know, form is a part of that. And then, you know, I want that also came from the place of like me wanting people to just like return to their truest selves. And so we came up with the name True Form and the mantra, be true, be formed. And the two values that, you know, pop out just in the name itself. We have a whole culture code that my employees know I like absolutely harp on them about, because I'm like, there are so many values, and I honestly just spit up like every moral code and value I've ever seen in my life. I put in our culture code. I was like, you have to be all of these things. And anyways, so the two things that I'll just really go into is just the importance of being true. So for us, that looks like, you know, being true to yourself, being not true to necessarily like be the best version of you, but more so like, who are we truly created to be? And so, you know, I believe that we are all formed together in our mother's womb, beautifully, fearfully, and wonderfully made. And so returning back to that truest version of ourselves, like my goal when people walk into True Form and they look at themselves in the mirror, that they see like little them. Like when I look in the mirror, do I see like little Kenzie, and is little Kenzie proud of big Kenzie? And so returning back to their truest selves, whatever that may look and whatever that may like kind of strike the chord in their heart to be. So we have be true, and then we have be formed. And yes, we care about like form and alignment and the beautiful parts of a workout, but really it's being formed and molded into who our creator created us to be. And so just kind of taking it all in when you're being true to who you are, and then you're being formed into who God has created you to be. You're not only kind of taking it back in the past, but you're also going into the future. So those are the two like biggest things to me. That's where the name True Form comes from. And really, to answer the final little piece of that question, like I hope we're striking down certain things just by really encouraging people to step into that, and encouraging people to make it more than just a workout, encouraging community. Would it be less about coming in and leaving feeling good about yourself, and leaving being like, oh, I made a new friend, or oh my gosh, okay, like I learned something new today, or I just had a great conversation. So really kind of trying to like adjust the mold that we've kind of placed fitness studios into, and break down things that way.
That's so good. And honestly, friends, like I've been to the Franklin studio a few times, and that's something that you can tell your whole company and the people involved embody. Like the moment that you walk in, every girl that works at the front desk is the kindest.
Oh my gosh,
like,
they are. Sometimes I walk into True Form and I'm like, y'all are so nice. Like sometimes I'm like, dang, I'm feeling real bad about myself about the way I talk to the card attendant, because y'all are being way too nice to me. I feel horrible for how rude I was. So they like, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like anywhere you go, you gravitate towards the first person you see. So my front desk girls, y'all are insanely wonderful and so rooted in Christ.
Oh my gosh. And that
easily,
yeah, like it erupts from their being. You can just tell. Like you don't even have to ask. You just know that they are believers because of the way that they love so well. I used to work at Lululemon. I'll never forget this. But at the very front, we'd always need one person at the doors, and you were called the director of first impressions. And it reminds me of people who get the opportunity to sit at the front desk, because I'm like, man, from that first moment, those first 5 seconds that you get with someone, they're already deciding what their experience in the store, in the studio is going to be like.
Changes
and the fact
everything.
that you're cultivating that so beautifully is just incredible to see and to witness. So shout out to all the girlies.
Yeah,
who
shout
are
out front desk girls. Y'all are my best friends.
Literally, they are.
Yeah, I'm like, y'all are actually my best friends, so hey.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. So some people might be listening up until this point and be like, okay, Cece, Kenz, I still don't really understand what Legree is. Will you just like break that down?
Well, this is so funny, because yesterday I spent my entire day in downtown Nashville asking random strangers, what is Legree?
Oh my gosh, I saw that post. Yes.
We did Legree in the streets, and when I tell you people have no clue what this thing is, like they have no freaking clue. So Legree, really quick to get into like the quick science of it all. People know Pilates. Like Pilates is a pretty well-known thing at this point. It's kind of like a yoga. Like you know at least somewhat what it is.
Yeah.
Legree versus Pilates, I'll just give you that. So Pilates is rehabilitative. It's strengthening. It's stretching, restorative. It's done on the reformer, and it really works like the lengthened state of. So you like feel good leaping. Now Legree kind of took that reformer. They created what's called the megaformer, and they based the entire principle of the workout off bodybuilding techniques. So it's way more about increasing muscular strength, increasing muscular endurance, pushing your muscles to fatigue. You do get that stretching component, but it's in no place restorative. So rather than being restorative and rehabilitative, which is what Pilates is, Legree is muscle strength, muscle endurance. It's, muscle building, all of those things. So we like to say that Legree is kind of like it's low impact. So it's a low impact form of weightlifting on a machine. So it's really great. Like that's why Tay and I want to do so much together, because she's so weightlifting centered, which is incredible. And having the piece of Legree on top of that, doing it 2 times a week on top of your weightlifting regimen, is literally our version of a recipe for just the healthiest, best body.
Yes.
Like physically speaking, has nothing to do with what you look like. So that is technically what Legree is. If you want to know more information on Legree, look up Legree Fitness or come to Trueform's Instagram and you can click on really all of our stuff and we have all the information for what Legree is.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Y'all, it's the best workout. I'm telling you, like if you're ever visiting Nashville, I feel like a lot of people plan Nashville trips. You've got to book a class because one, to meet Kenz and her team, they're incredible, but 2, to get your butt kicked in the best way.
Oh,
literally.
I will say, like, if there's one body part that you're like, dang, I really want to lift my butt, or I really just want to work on my BUTT, this is kind of the workout for that. Like, and core. It's very core heavy, very not like ab, but like abdominal focus. There's a lot of focus there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so funny yesterday, Legree in the streets. We ran into one of Tanner's friends and he was like, yeah, my wife goes and her butt looks great. I was like, yeah, it does.
That's amazing. So there you have it. If you're looking for that. I'm curious to know if there's something that you could share during this process of a second location. I mean, to be in the city of Nashville, I don't know what the stats are, but holy moly, it feels like every other person has moved here from California, me being one of them. And so to be in such a thriving city, we look and there's like high rise after high rise being built. What are some of those like behind the scene moments that you could share with us when it came to any aspect of like being in Nashville?
Gosh, it's so different. So different. Even like designing the studio is so different because, it's a completely different vibe. It's a completely different demographic. I would say, gosh, there's so many things. Right now, it's been learning how to market to a completely different demographic and in the best way. Like in Franklin, we're kind of trying to like share with people what this is and how to get involved and how to work out in this way. Here in Nashville, like you're saying, everyone's moving from California. Everyone kind of is aware of what this is. So that's been really cool. I would say build out wise, cause that's kind of in this season, it's like, Kenzie West is learning what framework is and what HVAC is and how you put concrete down. Like the things I'm learning is hilarious because I would have never thought I would know anything about construction. So learning the timelines on that and the permitting processes for that. That's a whole other podcast in and of itself because I'm like, did y'all know that concrete, blah, 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 blah. People at dinner with me lately are like, Kenzie, we really don't care. I'm like, okay, I don't really care either, but it's just funny to say. So right now we're in the build out process. And so there's so much to learn in that. But overall, I would say the biggest thing that we're really coming into and opening up our second is learning how to market to a completely different demographic and really trying to gain and gather people's attention to what we're doing.
Yeah, that's so good. Man, I love all of this. And I know that there are so many people who are listening right now who are like, dang, y'all just dropped some truth. And also I'm booking my flight to Nashville now because I'm just so excited to check it out. You've shared like little sneaks of design inspo and I've been like, okay.
I'm so excited. I hope it's kind of like, we just planned weddings. Well, kind of.
Right.
Like a little bit.
Ish.
And it's like you have all of the bones and then you're trying to like pull it all together. And I have no clue what it's going to look like technically, but in my brain, I'm really excited for people to see it. Cause I'm like, okay, wow, there's all these really cool aspects. Hopefully it comes together in like the perfect cake. So y'all will see soon.
Yeah.
Hopefully it looks like what my brain says it does.
Come on. Well, this is the final question that we ask every guest on That's Joy. Yeah. We've already asked you this, but you weren't married yet.
No.
So I'm curious to twist it a little bit, but in this season of being married, and just like where you're at, what does joy mean to you right now?
Oh gosh. I would say that joy is kind of the overflow of my heart right now. And on the days that it's not there, I kind of know what to do. I would say that, there's a lot of beautiful things happening in life. I just got married to like the most incredible person. And then on top of that, the Lord's opening up doors in my business, and those situations can produce a lot of joy. But I think at the base of it, my joy is truly coming from the overflow of my heart, which is getting in the Word, spending time with the Lord, spending time with people that love the Lord. And so that's kind of where my joy is coming from right now. It's really just my time alone in the secret place, and then with people that are really safe to me. And then when I'm not kind of feeling those feelings of joy, maybe I'm feeling overwhelmed or anxious, like I said I was last night, that's when I know, okay, I think I've been spending a little bit too much time on social media, or a little bit too much time with people that might not be like super, super solid. And, you know, I kind of know when to reel it back. So I would say that's kind of where the joy is coming from.
That is so good. Last thing on my heart that may just be the Spirit speaking, but I just am thinking about that girl who's listening to this, and she just needs like one more token. What's one thing that you could leave with that girl who is struggling with body image, and how she could step out of that? Like, do you have just one lingering thought?
Yeah. I would say look at the sky, look at the trees, look at everything around you that is like so beautiful. And the same maker that made those beautiful things made you. And that's what I have to tell myself sometimes is, okay, like if I believe that these things were made on purpose, and that these things were made for a purpose, that I believe I was made on purpose, and I was made for a purpose, and I was made exactly how I was supposed to be made. And that just kind of comes back to the Imago Dei in us. Like we were made in the image of God. And so, for everybody that's been in the place that I've been at in the past, or even, you know, I'm sure in the future that I'll be there, of like, gosh, God, like, I just wish that I looked like this. I just wish I could act like this. I just wish I could do this. I have to look at everything around me and at the people around me and just, take it back to the root of like, I was made on purpose for a purpose.
That's so good. Well, now, Kenz, where can the people follow you? Because they're obsessed with you at this point. Socials, like location. I don't know if you're sharing exact, but just any details.
My Instagram is Kenzie Wesp with a P. And then you can follow us at trueform.fitness on Instagram. We are in Franklin in our first studio. And then by the time this comes out, we will be in one city, which is right in between if you're in Nashville, Avo and Ian Rose.
Whoa,
I know, it's so exciting. Hey, Ian Rose, sponsor CC's podcast, please.
Literally.
But yeah, we're going to be right there if you're not from Nashville. We also have a blog that we're kind of starting to put stuff up on that'll be really cool. And like CC said, Taylor and I will have some fun stuff coming. So really, this is a really fun time.
Yeah.
And we love the spring in Nashville. We love the spring in the world. And there's a lot of things springing up from here. So follow along.
Come on. Didn't even script that. Kenz, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much.
All right, you guys. I hope that episode blessed you as much as it blessed me. Kenzie is just a light. Like, I hope that through just hearing our voices, or maybe you're watching the visuals on YouTube, you just see that she is a beaming light. And I know that her testimony and her story and how God is using her is just an opportunity for you to see how God can use you. I mean, whether it's a fitness studio or a podcast or a book, or maybe you're in a classroom and you're a teacher, or maybe you're a student right now, or maybe you're a police officer or want to be one. I don't know. Wherever God is calling you to go, He will use you. And I just also hope that this episode encouraged you and reminded you of how beautiful you are right now. And it's not to say that we don't have to make the efforts to become healthier. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is that as you are today, God loves you. You're beautifully and wonderfully made. And we get to steward our bodies well. We don't have to, friends, but we get to. And so I hope that with that, you can run into this week with a steadfastness and with a passion to put your health first in all aspects. I mean, even mental health, to just put your health first. If there's a certain part of this episode that you're like, whoa, there needs to be a part 2. I want to hear what that is in your opinion. So shoot me a text to 615-813-4813. You can also join the Joy Corner corner by subscribing to my weekly newsletter in the show notes, or head to That's Joy, the podcast, not the podcast. It's just that'sjoypodcast.com. And also, if you're not following me on social yet, you can follow me at CCALBONERO, and That's Joy the Podcast on Insta and TikTok. And I will put all of Kenzie's direct links on how you can support her, how you can follow her, and how you can even save your slot, save your seat, save your spot in the next True Form class. If you've not yet taken 2 minutes to subscribe, rate, or leave a review for That's Joy, like I said, it takes 2 minutes, and it would mean the world if you took the time to do that. So head over to Apple Podcast, write a quick review, head over to Spotify, drop the 5 stars, and I am giving you the biggest hug now for doing so. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Friends, I'll never leave a That's Joy episode without saying, if you have even the smallest desire to meet the creator of the universe, or if you've already been saved but you're not really free, I want to invite you to sit at the table of plenty with me and so many others. I'm telling you, there's an abundance here. There's an overflow here, and there's so much joy here. I'm here to tell you that God is for you. All you have to do is invite him into your heart right now. He's waiting for you. He wants to meet with you. And friend, I am so proud of you. If you just made this decision, I'd love to know you. Shoot me a text, that number in the show notes, so I could pray for you. I love you. God loves you. And until next time, I'll talk to y'all next time. Thank you so, so much for being here.